Jesus Christ.
In just a few minutes, there will be a brief dialogue between you and me that initiates the great prayer of the church that transforms bread and wine into real presence, that transforms us into real presence, his real presence in this world. The dialogue goes like this: the Lord be with you, and you would all respond. And then the priest says to you, lift up your hearts, and you all respond. And then the priest says to you, and through you to all the world, let us give thanks to the Lord our God. And you all respond. In other words, it's the right thing to do. To give thanks is the right thing to do, and it is simply the just thing to do. In this coming to gratitude, we are changed, transformed into something divine. Powerful stuff to give thanks is. Powerful stuff. You will come here on some days having just heard great news, experienced a success, totally in love, a new breakthrough. You're feeling on top of the world. You're just plain old happy. And you will hear those same words. Let us give thanks to the Lord our God, reminding us, reminding all of us, reminding you to set this great experience of life we're having in the context of the giver of every good gift. On those days, you will come here to find someone to thank. And there will also be many a Sunday where that happiness will not be the context of your worship for your gathering. On those days, you might come for Mass crabby, down and out, depressed as hell. You've just gotten the worst news you could imagine about something or other, about your marriage or a friendship. It seems to be falling apart right before your very eyes. Or you just got some bad news about a terminal diagnosis, or you're in between chemotherapy sessions, or having just buried your mother or your lover or your friend. And still you will hear those same words, still, like you did on the happiest of days, you'll still hear the words, let us give thanks to the Lord our God. And if you're paying attention, every part of you on those days, every part of you will want to say, no, no thanks, not today. But in our situations, even in the midst of a pandemic like these days, the church makes bold and says to you, poking right into your heart, you still have reason to say thank you. You still have reason to say thanks. There is a gift waiting for you even in the darkest night. No exceptions. There's always a gift worthy of your gratitude. Always. Sometimes you will have to dig for the blessing and dig deep. But it's always there, even there at the bottom of your tears. It's always there. It is for this reason the church names this sacrament the Eucharist, a Greek word, as you know, that simply means to give thanks. The source and summit of the church's life, therefore, is to give thanks. That's quite a belief. On a bad day, some people stay home and skip Mass. They don't want to gather with other people, especially people who might be happy that day when they're so not. And they perhaps don't have the energy to get out of bed, to clean up, get dressed, and come. I understand. On a good day, when they're flying high, they can quickly forget the need for God, the need to say thank you to the source of everything. But based on the habit of faith, for those for whom going to Mass is a given in their life, a habit of faith in their life, they will be reminded in the midst of that awful day, they will be reminded, they will be relentlessly reminded that it is good to give thanks and praise. It's just right. It's just. I blame a grief that became a healing grief in my life, a grief that became a healing grief in my life on the fact of my habit of faith. The habit of faith was coming out of a week of living and loving and losing into every Sunday Mass in those days. And then right there at the beginning of the new week, with all the living and loving and losing that was to come that next week, standing there on that hinge between yesterday and tomorrow, I would hear the priest say to me, I would hear again the invitation, or was it a command? To say thank you. As most of you know, I think when I was 36, my mom was diagnosed with cancer. Only one friend I knew my age had lost a parent at that point. It was scary to think of losing her, and truly sad, and an anxious time followed her death. Every time I would see her picture hanging on my wall, I would want to look away because it became such a painful reminder that she's not here anymore. But I blame the church that I could move through it and come out on the other side of that grief. And even, I hope, better man, and even, I hope, better priest. Because through that darkness, maybe you could call it, the church kept saying to Gary Brown, give thanks. Give thanks. Give thanks to the Lord our God. And I would respond, it is right and just. To give thanks even when I didn't feel like it. It proved so good for me to give thanks and praise. It wasn't very long, really, afterwards that the gratitude for her life crept into my sadness at her death. And for a while, the two lived alongside each other, sadness and gratitude, right there alongside each other. And now, when I look at her picture, it's only gratitude that I feel, that I was lucky enough to have a mom like her. I blame the church for that transformation. And for you who are happy, it is good for us to give thanks because it somehow completes the happiness to bring it home to God. Somehow the happiness I feel coming in here is completed by finding someone to say thank you to for this joy, this happiness. To the God who ultimately gave me this gift, whatever it is, that day. And in the saying of thank you, it just becomes a gift received. When I take the time to say thank you, it becomes a gift thoroughly received. That's the completion of this holy exchange. Like everything in the spiritual life, there's a parallel in the world of our relationships of all sorts. When I experience something and find myself grateful for it and say thank you, the gift received becomes a part of me, and I get closer and closer to the giver of that gift. I have to say that one of the top reasons I'm grateful this Thanksgiving is for the Mass. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a priest. I mean that with all my heart. For the Eucharist. For this sacrament we call to give thanks. How the heck did the church know 2,000 years ago? What studies confirm all over the place these days. Some of the most popular books out, tens of thousands of articles and essays are about the power of gratitude and how essential it is to our well-being and our health and our happiness. How did the church know 2,000 years ago that this is the key to our happiness, to give thanks, that it is truly the summit and source of our life? That it does good things to us socially and emotionally and mentally and spiritually and even physically for us to be grateful. I call it the secret the church was onto from the beginning. The secret of life. Life lived anywhere, anytime, and under any conditions. The secret of life is to be full of thanks. Thankful. Even in a pandemic, even when we're away from home at school for the first time, not with our families, even if our Thanksgiving table is 2 or 3 of us, maybe at a folding table in a garage with the garage door open and a few space heaters around. Even if this year it's a table of 1. My Thanksgiving table looks a whole lot like this year for me. And it's more than enough. No matter whether it's here or in a garage or home having a piece of turkey by ourselves this year, we can dig deep for the blessing buried there, the gift hidden in this 2020 Thanksgiving. In just a few minutes, we will commence that brief and formalized dialogue. On this Thanksgiving morning, can we let ourselves really mean it